Oh my god, extra video. Ah! Yeah, it is time for my January wrap up. In January, I read a grand total of 10 books with an average star rating of 4 stars. January started off pretty well. First book I reread was actually The Art of Howl's Moving Castle. This was a Christmas gift from my brother. I really enjoyed it. I'm a sucker for these. He's previously gotten me The Art of Spirited Away. I'm pretty sure he'll just continue getting me these books until I have the full collection. I rated this 5 stars. The second book I read in January was Shadow Song by S.J. Jones. This was the sequel to Winter Song. I was sent an ARC by the publisher. I will have a review for this coming up very soon, so I'm not going to say too much other than I gave it 5 stars. I listened to an audiobook recording of The Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie as narrated by Sir Kenneth Branagh because he's one of my faves. I've obviously read this book before. I love it, and Branagh's recording was really, really great. I gave this book 5 stars. I read The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. I did a review for this one if you want to see my thoughts. I didn't like it. I rated it 2 out of 5 stars. I read Iron Gold by Pierce Brown. I did a review for this one as well, so you can see all my thoughts on it there. Warning, it has tons of spoilers, and I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I read The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton. I will be having a review for this coming out, but I won't say more other than it floats somewhere between a 3.5 and a 4 out of 5 stars. I read an arc of Kill the Angel by Sandrone Dazieri. This is a sequel to a thriller called Kill the Father. I really enjoyed it. I don't think I liked it as much as Kill the Father. It had some pacing issues in the middle, so I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, even though it ended on like the rudest cliffhanger ever. It's so rude. I read Otherworld by Jason Segel and Kirsten Miller. I will have a review coming out for this one as well. I rated it 2.5 out of 5 stars. I listened to Repairing the World by John Chu. This is a short story. I listened to it on the podcast LeVar Burton Reads. I'm counting it, don't at me. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. And finally, I listened to the audiobook of Hidden Figures because I'd seen the movie, I realized I hadn't read the book, and I rated this 4 out of 5 stars. I definitely enjoyed it. It was nice to get that bit of history. I didn't know a lot about like how NACA became NASA and a bit of the space race, so that was really cool information to get. So basically January started off pretty well. I'm very pleased with the books that I've read thus far, even though there were some disappointments in there. So let's talk about a kind of tentative TBR for February. If you followed me long enough, you know that I don't really make TBRs for like specific months. I will have one big TBR where I say these are all the books that I own that I haven't read and I need to get through them. And I'll sort of make that a yearly goal, but I don't like to plan it out month by month because I'm sort of garbage about sticking to TBRs. I really am. And I think it's the high functioning ADHD and how I can't. I don't do well with things like that. It is not my thing. But I definitely have some books I'm in the middle of, / I have in the library, so I need to read them in like 2 weeks or I don't have them anymore. And I think I have at least maybe one arc that I need to read before the end of the month, so that'll be a thing. The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is an ebook I have from the library, so I gotta finish it because it's gonna go bye-bye if I don't finish it, so gotta get that one done. All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater. Same thing, ebook from the library. I ain't gonna have it if I don't read it, so I really want to try to read it. I'm really nervous that I'm not gonna get to this or The Cruel Prince, and that's just not gonna be great. I'll be so annoyed. I'll be back on the wait list. A Book of Spirits and Thieves by Morgan Rhodes. I have started this one, so I'd like to finish it before the end of the month. I will say I have not gotten into it as easily as I did the Falling Kingdom series, and I have this weird sneaking suspicion there might be either like insta-love or a love triangle. I'm like really not about it, so I'm like weirdly nervous about reading this book. I think I'm just sort of waiting for it to disappoint me, which is like a terrible attitude to have. Oops. The Magic Keepers, Book 1, The Eternal Hourglass by Erica Kirov. Ooh, you really dropped that there. She's like a locally based author, and she'd come into a Barnes & Noble when I was still working there. So I have this signed and personalized, and I just never read it. It was one of those books I discovered was on my TBR because I completely forgotten about it. But it is a middle grade fantasy novel. It's not real long. I just started it. It's easy to read. So this should be done before the end of the month. And finally, I'm going to tentatively put on here Furyborn by Claire Legrand. This is an ARC, which I wished for on NetGalley, and the publishers granted my wish like the great genies that they are. And I can't remember if this comes out in like March or May. I think it's one of the two, so I need to read it before I publish it. And so I'm going, if it's coming out in March, I'm going to try to read it this month / get to it at the very start of March, depending on when it's releasing. I read the first chapter of it and I was like, okay, intriguing. I like this first chapter. I think the only reason I've been like hesitant on it is that the last book I read by Claire Legrand was Winterspell, and I'd been so excited for that book because this was supposed to be a Nutcracker retelling, and I love the Nutcracker fairy tale, and I also love the ballet, and I was like really hoping it would give me something, and I didn't love it. I think I gave it like 3 stars. I was like, there are glimmers of like cool things in here, but there's so much I don't like about this book, and it just made me kind of sad. So I think that kind of almost hit or miss relationship with Claire Legrand's, everything else that I've read by Claire Legrand just being that one book, means I'm going into Furyborn just like super cautious. So cautious that I've like read the first chapter and haven't read anything else. Oops. Thanks for watching me ramble today. If you'd like to see more from me, go ahead and click that button with my face on it. It'll take you to my channel where I ramble about a whole lot of different things. Got some thoughts of your own? Go ahead and leave them down in the comments. And make sure that if you want to see more ramblings from me, you click that little subscribe button. That's it for me today, you guys, so until next time, cheers.